Hello everyone, Hachadino over here, and today we are doing an update, let's say, to our Chaos Wolf thingy with, it's an acolyte of Chayula, and we do have plans to use Flicker. Mainly we are using it now for bosses, because as you know, charge staff is bugged, and for clear without charge staff, Flicker is not that good unless you have some heralds, and we are running 0 heralds. So if you haven't watched the build before, I have some clip thing going over there. Then I'm going to show a fast boss that doesn't get frozen because it has like 100% extra element. And I'm mainly doing Ritual and Abyss. The build itself can get a lot more tanky because my items defensively, my helmet and chest, are not that good. They only have like 300 and 700 and something ES. You can also go a little bit for evasion, but I don't recommend it because you don't really have the points to spend a lot on those things, but you can try. Another thing is, of course, we are running now different spirit skills to solve our power charge issues. Before I was using lingering illusion, but as you might expect, some bosses do have issues with getting power charges on those, and now I have changed to cast on crit and siphon elements. I'm going to explain how it works. And also, if you don't know, we're using the CI and the belt tech, the soul tether. And I'm going to explain also how to not die with that because it's important. Remember, even if you have 1 health, if you have some degen, you will need some flat life region to counteract it. Otherwise, you will die eventually if you use Berserk, like we were using before, or if you are using the belt itself. Now, I'm going to show a really fast boss. Now, I didn't do the combo super well, but basically what we do is we use Chayula's hand to apply Sniper's Mark and Despair, and then we are going to be using Cross Slash to pop that mark. That way we will get 2 frenzies at least. We can get more sometimes thanks to charge profusion and some talents that we have. And what that would do is also break the enemy's armor and daze them. I'm going to explain why dazing them is also good. But some bosses have some things that they do instantly when they begin, so be careful. Like I did here, I got hit by almost 3k by her frontal that she does always at the beginning. So if you don't have a lot of attack speed, do be aware that you can get hit by that. Now, the idea now is to get some rage. We have some rage on hit from our jewels, and then use Lunar Blessing and ideally freeze the boss. Now, this boss, as I said before, has more than 100% extra element threshold, and it's also an overseer tablet, so it has like 11 million threshold by itself. But as you can see now, we have full power charges from our combo that we are using. Now, after this, we do a roar to get extra rage if we don't have it, and also to get the power from the Infernal Cry. And we also do 1 auto attack from Wyvern to get the 50% extra. Here we would, before doing this full combo, we would get another Lunar Blessing and also get Blind from Pounds and Cross Slash to get the extra fire also from it. But I didn't need it. And as you can see here, the boss just got deleted. I'm not going to show Chest because Chest is actually way less tanky than bosses with overseer tablets, mainly because they also have extra resistances and map effectiveness. Now, let's go into the build itself. That was quite a lengthy intro, but there are a lot of mechanics that we are using, so it's kind of good that people know. Now, first of all, we're using Rend instead of Shred because we get this extra 50% damage gain as lightning when we spend a power charge, and as you can see, we get a lot of power charges. Now, you're using Early Chimes and Culmination. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick. To get some extra power charges sometimes. This is because we spend it and then we get it back. That way we can use flicker after the attack with no issues. Now, of course, prolonged duration, so the rent itself lasts more. Blind, because we have some things that interact with blind. And then rapid attacks just so it's faster. We also have the frenzy charges. It's going to be a little bit faster even. Now our quarterstaff attack, it doesn't shine that much on bosses because they kind of die after one combo. But this one has catharsis to pop our volatility. Those were the little balls that you saw on my character. And then rapid attacks and rage 3. This gives 50% increased attack speed. Ideally you would also use the ritual ferocity, but it's a little bit pricey, let's say. It's like 40-50 divines. Now this is one of the main reasons why we are Chayula. Into the bridge. It gives us some chaos and also cooldown reduction. We got up to 40% cooldown reduction. It is very good from Cathal's rejuvenation, and they are also more potent, and you can get it from a little bit farther away. Eventually, you do want to get some points to get them from a little bit farther. When you have more crit and other things, you can drop some crit nodes and get those. And even standing still, you will get the remnants quite easily. So you even on normal fights, you just need to run a little bit and you will get those 10 stacks for a huge deal of extra chaos. Now we have Lunar Assault with Batair's Vengeance. This is good because when we freeze, we get 30% if you have Battle Trance or are using a Magi Talisman. You will get more, but right now I'm using a Spiny Talisman that eventually I do want to get crit on it. So we are only getting that 30% extra Scald, but very important to know that it lasts 20 seconds. Even more if you have some extra duration. Deep Freeze, so the freezes last longer. Ancestral Call to have better clear. Volatility to get extra volatility when we do crits. And then Rapid Attacks. Instead of Rapid Attacks, you can put other things that give or more damage or more utility. But I am not that interested in that for now because I don't use Lunar Assault as a clear skill. Then Pounce, we're using Blind because of some mechanics. Freezing Mark, Eternal Mark, so we can pop it with our Cross Slash and it still stays on the boss itself. And then Mark for Death, so we get some armor shred. Lunar Blessing, it's a 2120 Lunar Blessing, that's why it's 32, and also because it has Cold Mastery. Then we have Elemental Armament, prolonged duration, so it lasts longer. Cooldown Recovery, so we have full uptime if we hit some things. And then Blindside. A lot of supports that give damage don't affect Lunar Blessing for some reason, but with Blindside, if the mob is blinded, you will have more critical damage bonus and more critical hit chance. The Moonbeam already has quite a little bit of critical, 37, but this is without all of the extra buffs and things that we can get. We get more than 50%, don't worry. Then Cross Slash has Armor Break, Blazing Critical, Overextend, Pinpoint Critical, and then Blindside. I have Pinpoint Critical because I want this to crit as much as possible for Blazing Critical. Also because we have Overextend and Blindside for 40% more critical hit multiplier and also 50% more critical damage bonus. Cross Slash doesn't have many problems to crit, mainly because we usually have the target blinded from Pounds or from Rent or other things. Ideally, instead of Blindside or Overextend, you would use the Breach Lord thing that also gives more armor break. So you can get a lot of armor break on normal mobs. And that way you have that 100% even on armored things. Now Hand of Chayula has Despair, and as you know, it gets more effect of curses and also marks and duration. So we have here Despair, as you know, we do a lot of chaos damage, so that way we get extra penetration, let's say. Now Sniper's Mark is how we are getting those frenzies on bosses until we freeze them, that we will get another frenzy, but at least get those two for our charge regulation later. Hate and Curse, of course, so Despair is stronger. Eternal Mark, so we get two pops of our Sniper's Mark instead of one. And then on the last one, you can put something that hit and run or things like that. So Hand of Shayula is way faster. Have to remember to do that. And now Flicker Strike, our super hit. For Flicker Strike, of course, you want a decent staff. Sadly, I didn't broke a lot of things on my staff, but you can get one very easily with people have done crafting guides. Ideally, you get auto physical and flat physical, and then you use the essence to get the extra damage as physical, and plus levels always, critical strike chance and critical strike damage. There's also the base, that the sinister one, that has more base crit, and you also want that, so it's way easier to actually cap crit. Perpetual charge, so sometimes it doesn't get the charge stolen. Blindside, always the mob should be blinded, so it's more critical hit chance and more critical bonus. Momentum, it does work with Flicker Strike, so it's 40% more damage, one of the strongest words. For extend, as always, more critical hit chance, and then inexorable critical. These you'll have to math it out in Path of Building if you need to put this or not to have the crit. Do it. Ideally, you get a lot of crit chance of your weapon, and we also have some chance to apply critical weakness. So you don't need to get inexorable critical, and if you have enough critical hit chance, you can even run super critical. That is kind of the super strongest support with overextend and blindside. Now charge regulation, you might expect, very good. Have more critical hit chance. Increase defenses when we get some endurances. We get endurances mainly from armor break, so they are not like super reliable, but it is what it is. On clear, you do get them quite a bit if you have the extra Bridge Lord Jewel, because you break a ton of armor. And then ideally, of course, you get the ultrates here, so it's and you also get a 21, so you can get a 24, but we are poor, so we can do that. Now this is the main way to get our charges, these three things. We're going to be using custom crit with boundless energy for more energy. Living bomb, this is mainly for bosses and also rares. You put one seed, and when you get 200% of the ailment threshold, it through damage, it will pop and leave a fire remnant. And then the fire remnant can be popped with firestorm for that power charge from the passive that I will explain a little bit later. Then energy retention, so they sometimes refund energy, and then fluke, because we don't really care about damage, and you can get sometimes that 0 to 20% of the cost itself. Combat frenzy, very good. You get frenzy charges sometimes when you are there. It does have a cooldown of 6.3, but you can get it lower. And also, of course, charge profusion, so you have extra chance to get a charge and extra chance to also get a random charge. Now, siphon elements is how we are generating a lot of infusions while we are in bosses, and sometimes while we are on normal mobs. This is very important that you actually qualify it, because you get a huge increase on the chance, because it's 5% per power. It goes up to 7% per power, and you can even put something that increases the quality like Dialas, but I don't really recommend it to spend Dialas on Cyclone elements. But same thing, you can also put one of the Ulthreads here and get it to 24. And then finally, Ferocious Roar. They have this Ferocious Roar with Infernal Cry, full quality, and as much level as you can get. And 55% of damage as extra fire, and have Fire Mastery, so it's one more level. Then Echoing Cry, so it does more than one. And then in my case I put Efficiency, and you can put also other things, so it costs less mana, because otherwise we are going to spend like 200 to 300 mana while we are not hitting, so our leech is not going on, and we will have some problems. Now, those are the skills themselves. As I said before, my gear is not super good. I have the base soul tether thingy, and then I'm using some power threads with only 2 sockets. They are not cultivated even. These are some gloves that I crafted. Just recombinate +2 levels of melee with bonus, and then sometimes you get the mana leech. Mana leech and life leech you will need to get on your items, so get them in one ring or the other, and then gloves or whatever. You don't really care about attack speed, so that's why I put it on the gloves, and it's fine. If you get attack speed on the gloves, you will need to get one ring of each on one ring with both. Our helmet, as much ES as you can get, and also as much critical strike as you can get. Also some resistances if possible. And same thing with the chest, but here it's important that you need at least 40 something or 30 something spirit. Same thing with your neck, depending. You will need at least 89, 30, and 30. So as you can see here, we have 187 and we have 6. So you will need 181 from your spirit needs. You can get it from your helmet or using a solar and then getting a little bit less spirit on the chest. But it's very good that I have the amber, because getting stats is also a struggle if you don't know about it. Now drink, as you can see here, flat damage if possible, increased damage if possible also, nothing crazy. Same thing with the talisman, you want physical damage, flat damage. Here I did get the extra physical, this helps a lot on leech, and the extra level of attacks. Now, this flask is kind of good, because while you are running around from pack to pack, you can pop it, and you will get this blood of the warrior. Of course, you are CI, so you don't get the extra recover, but what you get is no inherent loss of rage. So if you end the pack with 30 rage and you don't want to use Lunar Blessing yet, you can get this blood of the warrior, and it will kind of sustain you through that, and you can begin the pack with a fully upgraded Lunar Blessing. Now you can also use a Laviangas instead of this ultimate mana flask, but I do sometimes need to use the mana flask after using Lunar Blessing. If you put efficiency or Lunar Blessing, it will not be as needed, but as you can see, a level 32 Lunar Blessing costs 600 mana. Same thing with Flicker, it also costs quite a bit, so be aware of that. Now the trick from the belt, if you don't know about it, excess life recovery from leech is applied to energy shield, but if you are CI, or even if you have normal life, you will need fast metabolism or a leech 3 support gem on your attack. So when you get the full life, you will get the leech on your energy shield. It kind of bugs out a little bit sometimes, and do remember that for leech in PoE2 you need to do bigger hits than in PoE1, because some mobs have, well, most mobs at a high level have leech resistance. So if you have so many little hits on, for example, your normal Lunar Soul, is not going to leech a lot. That's why I have crit and crit damage to get those extra leech powers, and also you will get leech a lot from moonbeams and from your rent, mainly because rent does a lot of physical damage, but also because we are Chayula, and with a lot of extra chaos, we also get the leech from Sap of Nightmares. I also get some extra chaos from volatility. While we are clearing, we get to pop our volatility and have some rolling extra chaos. Now, of course, we have the Intrude Breach and also Choice of Power. I chose, of course, the purple flames. And now for the tree itself, it's a little bit different from the one before. We are using some high profile gems right now, but even with this, I'm not using the super mega pricey ones. Now, here I'm using a time lost ruby with from nothing that has resonance. This one I actually don't know if it's pricey or not right now, but when I bought it, it was like 5 divines. Maybe it went up a lot. And with this from nothing on resonance, you can get Tilebender and Seeing Stars, and also Spellblade and Spell Haste with this. This of course is giving me some rage on hit and some Warcry recovery rate. So my Lunar Blessing and my Ferocious Roar have a lot of cooldown recovery. I am also using weapon points. As you can see here, these are kind of a different color. These are from my talisman, and I'm going to get attack damage and also attack speed. This and extra rage when I'm hitting with my talisman. Of course, instability is very important to have, and also some crit juice over here and over here and over here. Eventually, when you have weapons with actual crit, you can drop this. Same as I dropped this over here. I was using them, now I'm not. And then the other points from the quarterstaff up over here. Sorry. Of course, we are using an Against the Darkness with extra chaos, and you can get some resistances or something else until you have a lot of money to get one with 2 extras. Ideally, you get chaos and cold or fire or lightning, anything works. And we have the days talents over here, so we have 1, 2, then this one over here, so our charges last longer. We get some dexterity and also chance to not remove them. This is super strong with flicker mainly. And of course, these are struck through, heartbreaking, and tear stopping staples of our hit. Now, my weapon points from the staff, as you might expect, they are from martial artistry and 1 with the storm, so our flicker counts as consuming 8, even if we only have 7 pound charges. Of course, patient barrier, worth it to go over here, but if you can actually get more levels, like I will eventually, and you get, I'm going to go for loss of power and also this socket over here. Instead of patient barrier, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, you can get the same level of energy shield by doing these 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Going to be 30, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 15, sorry. And it's kind of decent. Now I'm using this random jewel here, but this will be Prism of Belief for Flicker. You can buy also a Prism of Belief for Lunar Blessing, quite cheap. For now, I'm using this because I rolled a very good jewel. Eventually, I will sell it. But basically, getting a Prism of Belief for Lunar Blessing will also increase a lot of the damage from the moonbeams. They are already doing crazy amounts of damage, as you can see here, 510. So if you get a +3 on this, it's going to be even higher. Do be aware that on the mana cost, maybe you might need to put efficiency on that one. And we are also using a Megalomaniac, and this one has, where it is here, Howling Beast and Infusion of Power. Howling Beast is not like 100% needed, but you want Infusion of Power or Lust for Power, whichever is cheaper. mainly to get the remnant things and also to get the elemental infusion from power charges. This is super important, so you will need to use points to get there if you don't have it. But you can use that one, and when you go down over here, maybe change it. Now, these are not cheap. This one costed me like 12 divines, but I have seen them and now they are up to 70 or 80, maybe because of the temple. Of course, these free things are good, more build up, and then you ignore elemental resistances and also get extra damage. I will post a path of building a little bit later, but also do remember that you need to have some extra ailment and stun threshold as energy shield. And I'm losing a lot of energy shield because my helmet is not that good, and I'm using illuminated crown. If you get a 500 or 600 energy shield helmet, this is going to be a lot better for you. There are also some points over here that give you extra threshold, and there are also points over here that give you extra threshold. So if you are doing user maps, you do want those points so you don't get stunned all the time. Now, that was everything. If you want to see more content about it, I will keep updating the character itself, and you can always check it by going to Hachadinovaal or checking the stream. I'll also show you my current path of building. I'm just making it right now because remember I do need to put a lot of extra configurations because of how some skills work with Flicker. They're still not put well into the path of building. But that's everything. Have a nice day, and I will see you on the next video.